Hey everyone, it's Penberthy here and welcome to today's video. I'm going to be talking about something really special. This is webinars that convert, and also we're going to be talking about storytelling hacks. And so the reason why I've called it this is because one of the most profitable skills that I've learned in my whole marketing career is understanding people, right? What makes them tick? What would make them feel understood? What are their pains, desires? We talk about this stuff a lot. But a big way that we can convey a message like that we can make someone feel understood and all this good stuff, is through storytelling. And especially on webinars. So if you're doing anything with webinars right now, then you're definitely going to want to watch the rest of this. And if you're doing anything else, videos, right? Maybe you're doing advertisements on Facebook or YouTube, whatever it is, if you are writing copy or you're recording videos, you need to know this storytelling stuff, and you can take these examples with you as well. So I'm going to go into 3 examples of stories that I have shared on my webinars that have helped them convert into absolute monsters and get me tons of customers. So let's get into it. So the first example that I want to get into is one of my webinars for a Facebook advertising course that I have. Right? So I'm putting together a webinar presentation with some slides that is hopefully going to be leading someone down this path of understanding more about the topic of Facebook and ultimately why I understand them and can help them and get them excited to go on that journey. So I always start my webinars with a story. So the story that I came up with for this one, and I'm just going to kind of talk you through it. In fact, I'm just going to come out of full screen so you can see the slides down here on the right hand side. And the story that I'm kind of trying to convey here is I want them to feel through my story that it's relating to them, and they have that feeling of, this person understands me. This John Penberthy, he gets me, right? And so I'm telling a story of how my journey through Facebook ads didn't actually start off too well. I lost money. It was confusing, it was difficult, it was frustrating. All these feelings and emotions that I know that my audience would be going through too, and that's helping them feel understood, right? So the story starts off, how this whole thing came about. I talk about how I've been desperate to make Facebook ads work for the longest time, and then I go into some stats on why, Facebook is so powerful and profitable. In fact, actually, I've got the date wrong here. It should say 2019, but you can see that, like, I've just got a bunch of bullet points, just kind of trying to convey, look, Facebook is so powerful, and you need to be on this platform. Then I start going through talking about the fact that the opportunity on Facebook right now is unmatched, and the timing couldn't be better. Because I know I want that to be part of the story, because I know that also some people are feeling like, Facebook's, I'd be late to the party right now if I jumped on it now, or it's getting too expensive, and all that kind of objections that they have. So I tackle that with a slide like this, and then essentially I go through and I talk about, look, I knew I needed to learn it, so I went and found a mentor, I went and found some training, I pulled out my credit card and made my purchase to start to seed the fact that you need to be able to be willing to invest in your business. And I got busy, right? I went through the training a couple of weeks, I'd followed all the steps, and I'm telling this story about how I followed all the steps, I created the ad, I told Facebook how much I wanted to pay, this, that, and the other, and I made the ad go live because I know they have experienced the same thing. They've all gone through a training at some point in time that they followed, point by point, and it didn't work. So I want to truly outline in my story here that I went through the same thing so that they feel understood. And then guess what? I was really excited to run the ad, got up early the next morning, checked, and essentially I'd spent a ton of money and got no results. And I'd learned to give it some time, so I left the ad running, and every day I checked and every day I was disappointed. I'm telling them this story of how I was confused, frustrated, needed to humble myself and get coaching. And this is where I introduced my business partner, Jabril, and basically take them on this journey of building Jabril's authority, building his worth, and how the fact that actually he looked at my campaigns, jumped on a call with me, told me what was not working, how to fix it, and then ultimately where we're up to right now. Okay, so obviously I've gone through that quite quick, but hopefully you're getting the journey that I've taken them on with that story. And all the things that I need them to understand before they would be in a position to make a purchase, I want to weave that into the story. So firstly, I need them to know who Jabril is, right? I need them to know his worth. I need them to know, why they should care about him, because we're partners in the program. So I'm building his authority. I'm also seeding the fact that you need a coach and a mentor, and training isn't enough. So I've seeded that in there. So you're starting to see all the things that I've seeded with that story. Storytelling is so powerful. I'll share with you another example. This is for a webinar. In fact, this is my webinar training. This is my webinar presentation that teaches people how to build a webinar funnel. So again, I'll take you through the story quite quick, but this is the opening story, and I talk about the fact that I used to have a fear of selling. So I would focus on affiliate marketing as a way to kind of like, I didn't want to have to do the whole selling bit. And 4 or 5 years ago, I was promoting a product with a friend of mine called Mike Long, and he was like, we should do a webinar. And I was like, what the heck is a webinar? So I'm playing on this idea that I know that for some of my audience, they feel a bit alien to it, to the topic as well, right? He said I'd handle everything. I just needed to show up and introduce him, okay? Now, the way this story is going to progress is the fact that I know one of the biggest things that my audience and potential customers would need to feel understood about is the fact that it's really scary to do your first webinar, right? To be on camera, to have your slides, to all that pressure, and to have a live audience and whatnot. It's daunting, right? And so I need them to feel understood and that I understand it too and that I get it. So I talk about my first ever experience. I was so nervous. We hit go live. I was sweating. I felt like I'd ruined the whole thing, but somehow we were still profitable. And I take them through that journey, and I thought, man, there's something to this webinar, business. I want to master it. So I went through, wanted to study it, went on a journey. I'm building my own authority by talking about the amount of money I've spent with different mentors, and kind of building that worth. And then I go into talking about, the results that we've had with webinars and what life looks like now, traveling and all that good stuff. So again, you're seeing the story, things that I need to seed for them to be in a buying position later on. I want to seed that right here. So in the last presentation, I'm building Jabril's authority because I'm about to pass the presentation on to him. And here it's all me. So I'm building my authority, but using third-party assets, talking about the coaching that I've gone on, all this good stuff, right? And so you can see now, like, storytelling is key. I use it on every single webinar. And it's all because I want my audience to feel understood. That's the key. Do they feel understood? If they do, they're going to move forward with me, okay? I'll show you one more example before we finish this video. This is one of my more recent webinars and for our YouTube advertising course, okay? And so I had to be quite creative with this story because I also teach Facebook ads. I also spend a ton of money on Facebook still, but now I'm promoting a YouTube advertising course. And so I've got to be very careful with the story that I tell because it would be inaccurate to say, hey, forget Facebook now and come over to YouTube, because that's actually not the case. Facebook is still wildly profitable and we're getting tons of results over there. So this is just about diversifying. So I had to be really careful with the story. So I played on the story that paid advertising is so powerful, right? So I talk about, look, what's the one thing that businesses can't do without? Okay, whoops, let me just jump on the slide here. It's driving traffic, right? Having the ability to drive traffic, but because without traffic, your business fails, okay? But then I say smart entrepreneurs understand this, but smarter entrepreneurs understand having traffic that's like a tap. You put some money in and you get more money back out than you put in, right? And it's like a tap, you turn it on. So I'm getting them to understand that paid advertising is really powerful. And I tell them that story. I talk about how I've been doing that with Facebook for a while. This gentleman that came and spoke at one of my events, Tom Breeze, introduced me to YouTube ads. I thought, I've got to be playing around with it. And again, I share these pain points. Like, I thought it would be like Facebook all over again, frustrated, it's not working, like all this good stuff. But actually, it worked out pretty darn well. My jaw hit the floor. I realized there's a new king in the town, move over Google. Google used to be really cheap. YouTube's like at that place right now. And then the same part of the story as I used in my webinar presentation, the other one. I was hooked. I wanted to study everything, that I could. I talk about the fact that my high ticket coaching group, that's called the Platinum Group, they were begging me to teach them. So I'm creating subconsciously that feeling of demand for this training by mentioning that my Platinum Group coaching students were begging me to teach it. And I say, look, hold off for a minute, talk about how much myself and my team have started to invest, our results and all that good stuff. And then I go into some results. So again, you can see the first part of this webinar is a story. And I'm always crafting a story to hit on the points where they feel misunderstood so that I can have them feel understood and I can get them to a point where they know that the topic that I'm talking about is super powerful, is going to benefit them, and they feel understood as well. And that's what's going to drive them forward to want to spend some money with me later on in the webinar. Okay? So hopefully that stuff was helpful for you. 3 examples of stories I've used in my webinars that work so well. And I use this everywhere else, by the way. I'll use this in my Facebook ads, my YouTube ads, in any videos that I do, sales videos, webinars, doesn't matter, stage presentations. I'm using this storytelling stuff and hopefully seeing 3 real examples of ones I've used will get you really excited. So with that, hopefully that was helpful for you. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I've left a link in the description box here to a free web class that I've got that will teach you more about this stuff. In fact, the story that I just started there for my webinar, that's actually the story that you'll hear, and then I'll dive into the training where I'm going to share with you why webinars are so powerful and how you can capitalize on them and build a profitable webinar for yourself. So click the link, register for that training if that would be helpful for you. And also if you enjoyed this video, hit like on the video, leave me a comment. I would love to read your comments, and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you're notified of our future videos. And with that, I appreciate you very much, and I'll see you in a future one.